welcome to our review on Adaptations to the Environments 1. So first thing we need to understand then is what we're talking about when we use the word adaptation. So quite simply, whenever we're referring to an adaptation, we're referring to one of those features of an organism that help it to survive. So you could get any number of different questions here, but the basic rule is think about what features would help the organism to survive in the environment it's meant to live in. So you'll obviously have to think about different features depending on which environments they're talking about, and what we'll do is have a little look at a couple of examples here, but no matter what animal they give you in the question, look at the information they give you and think, well, what bit of it is helping it to survive where it lives? If we consider the case of the polar bear then, what we'll find is it's got several adaptations that make it good for living in those very cold climates. So the first one is that it's actually got very small ears, as you can see in the picture there, which reduce the surface area, and that's all to do with reducing heat loss. You can see it's got that very thick white fur on its body, number one, to insulate it against the cold, and secondly, to camouflage it so obviously it can hunt a little bit better. It's got sharp teeth to kill the prey, and also claws that are very sharp for holding and killing anything it's trying to obviously catch for food. You can see its legs there, very powerful. So they've got very strong long legs that are going to allow it to run when it's on the actual land, and also to swim when it's in the water. And you can see that it's got very large feet there. So they need to have large feet to spread their load so they don't sink deeply into the snow. And they've also got fur on the bottom for two reasons. One, it's going to help them to grip because it creates more friction, and secondly, it insulates the actual soles of their feet against the snow and the ice that they're walking on. Things we can't see is that it's got a layer of blubber underneath its skin, which is all to do with providing insulation to keep it warmer in those cold conditions. And finally, it's got a large body size, and again, that's to do with reducing the surface area to reduce the heat loss. If we now consider the camel, which is completely the opposite end of the spectrum to our polar bear. So obviously camels usually live in very hot, dry conditions. So the first thing is that they've got large feet that again spread their load over the sand so they don't sink deeply into it as they're moving across it. They've also got very bushy eyelashes, and that's all to do with stopping the sand that blows around on the dunes from getting into their eyes. They've got nostrils which they can actually close, which prevents them breathing in sand. They've got very dry dung and very concentrated urine, which is typical of any desert animal, because that reduces their water loss from the excretions that they have to produce. They've also got very long legs, as you can see in the picture there, and the whole idea there is to lift the body off the sand, because the sand gets incredibly hot. Think about when you've been on holiday somewhere very nice and hot and you walk across the beach without your flip-flops on, then you can actually feel your feet burning on that sand. Imagine what that's going to be like in a desert. So having the body lifted off because of those long legs means that you're away from that very hot surface. The last thing is their hump. Now the hump isn't filled with water. It's not like you can just put a tap in the side of a camel's hump and then water comes out. It's actually a hump made of fat. So we put all of their fat in that one location to reduce insulation over the body, and that fat can actually be broken down in order to generate water as it's needed.